Good afternoon, boys and girls. How are you doing today? It's about 11:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've been driving myself crazy for the past, 48 hours. I finally figured out how to break way into artificial intelligence art generation. I have been having the worst time trying to find competent artists for whether it's 2D graphics or 3D graphics or whatever. Many of you know, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been looking forever. Everybody, oh, I can do this, I'm all about it. And then I pay them to like do a model to show me, and it's terrible. And like, I've done that so many times, and then I'm like, well, you know what? Screw this. Let's go to 2D graphics. You can't get a hold of anybody. It's like I tried to buy. I was going to try and buy. There are like three different companies on like the Unity asset store, and I was trying to reach out to all of them. Either you can't get a hold of anyone, or it's like the way each platform sells digital assets. It's like each has their own kind of way, their own terms. You can do this, you can't do that. It's like, oh my God. And you just can't talk to anyone. And then the artists themselves, God love them, extremely talented, but where you just can't reach them. Like, you email them 5 times at this address and then that address, and then you try to reach out on social media, and it's like nobody responds, nobody says anything. So I started using artificial intelligence, and it is kicking ass. Let me just tell you, I'm going to show you some examples in a little while, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my with this tactical game and the art direction and how we're going to do it. I think we figured it out. I think it's going to be super wicked cool. And I'm pumped, but I was not able to sleep because I was up all night just cranking out graphics and like character art and all kinds of stuff. So I'll give you a few examples of what I've been up to. But first, we're going to talk about Cardano. We're going to talk about some price action, and we're going to basically talk about what to potentially expect when you're considering, what's going to happen in the markets with Cardano and Ethereum, because that's always my biggest question. What are we looking at in terms of price? This is Bitcoin here. You can see we're starting to turn into, well, I think this is ultimately going to be a bit of a sideways weekly candle personally. And then more than likely, and maybe we go sideways for a little bit, but then I see Bitcoin's price coming back down and breaking into some new lows. And I'm expecting to see that as we head into like January, February. I think that here's the thing. There are a lot of people who only pay attention to crypto price, and they only pay attention to crypto cycles. They only pay attention to a very narrow window as it relates to the overall financial, expectations as to what's to come. I look at the grander picture, look at the SPX. And people started getting excited. We have not really broken this trend here. I mean, this has been a downtrend since January, and then boom. I mean, we did close above this for a minute, but we came right back down, and here we are going to continue down in the trend for the SPX. Everything is coming down, and it's only going to get worse in 2023. And anybody that thinks otherwise is, to me, probably crazy, because it doesn't matter if we're getting some little temporary pumps in Bitcoin. It doesn't really, none of this really matters to me. The bottom is not in. I'm not buying it. I don't care. I don't care about the hope and the FOMO and the hopium and all of that. It doesn't mean anything to me. When I'm looking at what's going on in the world here's the thing. And I did a video on this yesterday. Okay. And it was a very safe Cliff Notes version of what's happening and what to be expecting. If you haven't watched my video yesterday with Charles Hoskinson on the cover, where he basically says, if they win, we'll all be slaves, you need to watch that video, and you need to share it. And the thing of it is when you watch that video, you really need to read between the lines to a bit, and you need to take what I've presented and start diving in yourself and start looking up these things. Spend a weekend with some coffee and some potato chips and just keep reading down that rabbit hole, and you'll start getting a better idea as to what is happening, why things are happening the way they are, and what I believe to be fact, my own opinion, is that we are going to be going significantly lower across the board. A great reset doesn't mean we're just going to continue on in cycles as normal. A great reset means we're going to shake the Etch-a-Sketch, okay? And so when I think about that, and I think about them, quote unquote, shaking the Etch-a-Sketch, if you will, that means that when we start drawing on that Etch-a-Sketch again, there are going to be new limitations and new requirements, new regulations, new controls, new everything that we're not used to seeing. And many, I don't believe, are expecting to see. But to each their own. You're all going to find out soon. And I mean, it's all happening right now under our very noses. And while everybody's being distracted with this nonsense, that nonsense, we're being distracted with left versus right, liberals versus conservatives, and we're just constantly being distracted with all these emotional trigger points. While you're watching these hands go, you don't see the hands that are underneath coming in and stealing everything from you. You're not supposed to see that. That's the illusion. That's what's going on. And it's like, and I get caught up in it too. I'm not going to lie. I get caught up in it just like anybody else, but I get caught up in other sources with a little bit more facts than what you're presented with on mainstream media. And there are executive orders that came about back during Obama that basically made it so that the news media can do exactly what they're doing right now. And I can't really talk about it because you know why. But if you go back and you look, I'm telling you, there are a lot of people out there that are indoctrinated fully to believe that what's happening is all conspiracy theory. It's all garbage. It's all, let's focus on the Kardashians. Let's focus on Balenciaga and what they're doing. We're going to focus on that. And it's like, I'm not even saying that the idea that stuff is coming to light is a bad thing. I'm saying that it's used right now to distract you from everything else that's going on that is going to have much grander implications on a global measure than, the news topic of the day. I mean, there's a reason why guys like Sam Bankman-Fried are still walking around. Okay. There are reasons why all this stuff is happening. If you're a supporter of it, well, you're untouchable. But if you're not, then, they'll take you down for jaywalking. I mean, or they'll just make up shit. I mean, it's just like the craziness that I'm seeing right now. It's not going to get any better, folks. And I've seen questions in my comments. How do you prepare? How do you prepare? I honestly don't know. I spend almost every waking moment trying to either distract myself from what I feel is happening, trying to educate myself. Because when you think of something like a great reset, that includes all things. I mean, everything that we know of today is going to change dramatically, I do believe. And quite frankly, and as far as the United States is concerned, I think that one of the only reasons why things haven't gotten much worse than they are is because of some amendment rights that we have in this country that they would love to get rid of. And maybe eventually they will. And we're going to have a bunch of ignoramuses out there saying, yeah, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. And that will be the day they've basically locked their own cuffs. But, you can't teach stupid people new things. I mean, I don't know what to say, but everybody has their opinion and, I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Am I wasting your time? I may very well be. Let's get to the meat of this, and then you can go about and tell me how crazy I am. So anyway, this is a little chart here, see? And this little chart here is basically showing you Ethereum's growth since its bottom compared to Cardano's growth since its bottom. Which do you think is which? As you can see here, early on, so this basically starts all the way back in the date of this green vertical line is March 15th of 2020. Okay. On March 15th of 2020, Cardano is sitting at about 2 pennies, 2 cents. Okay. 2 cents. It is the bright pink line. This is Cardano's price action. It was up 15,850%. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about here, there you go. This is it as a regular candle chart. From 2 cents to its peak of, its peak was around 340. this chart, because of this exchange, it only got to like 312 or something. So I raised it up a little bit, but we all know it was around $3.40. That's a almost 16,000% increase from its low. Okay. So, you know, I'm not making up stuff for the sake of being I'm all Cardano and, I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyway, but yeah, that's that. The blue line is Ethereum. Ethereum's low was like 82 bucks. So while Ethereum rose up about $8,428 to its high of around $5,000, Cardano went up another, almost double that. So, but we're also seeing that now Cardano is falling in value, and depending on where you are in the market, when you got into Cardano, maybe you used Ethereum to buy Cardano, maybe, whatever your situation is, that's going to dictate basically where it's at. But let's say we had a similar cycle, right? If Ethereum were to go up from, let's say, I don't know, a low of $600 and maybe it got to 10 or 11,000, but Cardano got to, $8, $9. Well, the magnitude of growth over Ethereum is going to be pretty dramatic. And when you look at everything that's happening in Cardano right now, and basically how the tech is unfolding, I definitely think that. Here's the thing. Ethereum has first mover advantage. I mean, that's really all there is to that. And with first mover advantage, they have the ability to kind of maintain, if you will, positive price action. But man, this Ethereum 2.0 business is really not good. I mean, it's just not. Locking up your Ethereum and the way that's all handled, it's just not good. And I don't really see that sentiment lasting around Ethereum for much longer. And I've seen stuff with Michael Saylor talking about Ethereum should be a security. Everything that's not Bitcoin should be a security. But I mean, look at it. He's right to some extent, but he's also wrong. And I think that where he's wrong is he's trying to basically play the Bitcoin maximalist role. That's the majority of his stake. Like he bought, I don't even know. I mean, billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Of course he wants everything to go away, because if everything else goes away, it puts all the money back into Bitcoin, which basically helps him and his fund and everything else he's got going on. And, I don't blame him for trying, but ultimately I don't really think Cardano's a security. I mean, just the fact that it's probably is it not the most decentralized blockchain out there right now? There isn't a whole hell of a lot you can do about it at this point. It's off to the races, and the technology is only going to continue getting better, faster, cheaper. I mean, we're out of the MVP stage with Cardano at this point. Now we're just perfecting it. Now it's just a matter of making things much better. And I'm telling you right now, you need to watch the video that I put out yesterday with Charles on the cover. So we're going to get to some brief news here. Charles Hoskinson reveals confidential smart contracts are coming to Cardano. The cryptocurrency market may be swimming in a sea of red, but the work at Cardano doesn't seem to be slowing down, including on its new privacy-focused blockchain, Midnight. Name of my kitty cat, my cat. I've got Cardano and I've got Midnight. A lot of you guys thought I was kidding until I showed some videos of my wife talking to Midnight when she was a little baby kitten. And it's just crazy how that works out, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's destiny. I don't know. As the platform's founder, Charles Hoskinson, recently detailed, indeed, the Cardano founder talked about privacy and blockchain, focusing on how the Midnight chain solves one of the essential problems in the cryptocurrency industry, including the confidentiality of smart contracts. In an interview with YouTuber Corey Costa, streamed on December 7th, according to Charles Hoskinson, blockchain isn't even supposed to be in use from a regulatory perspective, because every time you engage in a regulated business, there's a privacy requirement, because a regulated business requires you to give away some personally identifiable information. And there's a privacy law on the other side that says you have to keep it secret. The problem is if you try to do that in a blockchain setting, your private information becomes public to everybody. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Everything's trackable on a blockchain. So if you have personal information that's attached to that blockchain data, anybody can know anything. That's not good. But ultimately, I do believe Midnight's ultimately being developed so that the right people, authorities and things are probably going to be able to see, but just not any random Joe that wants to like stalk a crypto user. In the view of Cardano's founder, the solution was to create a confidentiality framework in the form of Midnight. So instead of having a privacy coin, you have a confidentiality framework. You have smart contracts that are private, which is a huge deal. It is a huge deal. And man, these guys, Cardano's just going to keep cranking out the good stuff. I'm super pumped. If there's any market that I'm more pumped about Cardano moving into this next bull cycle than I ever was in previous cycles. And if you all know, I've been super pumped about Cardano since inception. But I've been really excited about Cardano based off of what I saw coming. Now, I'm starting to actually see it happen, and that's crazy. Cardano ADA on-chain activity spikes, high volatility ahead. ADA price traded at 31 cents, close to January 2021 levels from where it made a recovery in 2021. It's not going to make a recovery right now, don't worry. Daily trade volumes had flatlined, presenting no major push or interest from retailers because we're in a bear market and it's going to go lower. The age consumed indicator for Cardano showed that over 107 billion ADA were moved on December 7th. Well, that's wonderful. I don't really need to get into the details of that. But do you want to see some of the graphics I've been creating on my own since I haven't been able to find an artist to help with my game project? So I've been forced to use AI and it's turning out to basically save the day. Let me know what you guys think of this art. I'll show you 3 examples of what I've got together, and I've got a whole bunch, and I'm really dialing this thing in, so I'm excited. Here's one of my little, one of my shooters, one of my little ninja shooters. She's not a ninja. She's just a little soldier. Here's one of my bots. One of the bots. And finally, I will show you one of my undead. Or one of my undead warriors. So yeah, I'm super pumped, and I'm getting better and better and better because dialing this stuff in and trying to get exactly what you're looking for. Ultimately this is creating the initial imagery, but then I am going to have to go in and like Photoshop, and I'm going to have to touch things up and add some different elements based off of each faction's kind of theme overall. And but I'm excited, man, because I've been cranking out all kinds of stuff. I've been using Midjourney, even though I've installed and set up Invoke AI, which is nice. I can do more in a shorter period of time with Invoke AI, which is a stable diffusion model. But Midjourney is just cranking it. I do have a paid account, and I keep a lot of my stuff private. But if you're looking to get into this and you're interested, I'm happy to share some prompts and things, because prompt crafting is truly an art of its own, and really understanding how I've watched so many videos on how to accomplish this or that, but they don't really tell me what I need to hear. I've had to figure it out on my own. So I might do a video that kind of breaks down basically how you could get, art like this. One of the biggest problems I've found in a lot of this AI stuff is how to get a full body. Because generally when you're creating art, it cuts off the head, it cuts off the legs, it cuts off all this random stuff. So to be able to get a consistent full body pose is not that easy. Well, it is now that I know how to do it. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is, I'm as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to upload it. I'm going to go back to work because I've got a whole bunch more art. Then I've got to take out the backgrounds and start editing things in 2D. So, but yeah, there you go. So hopefully this video finds you well. And, listen, folks, if I tell you anything right now, I started averaging back into Cardano at 50 cents. Okay. I told you guys when I did, I know it's going lower. I did not care. I do not care. I don't care if it gets down to 12 cents or 14 cents or whatever. If it does, fantastic. Just know that when it does, I will be buying significantly more. I do have my own personal target goal of how much ADA I like to have before we get to the next halving. Not the next peak, but the next halving, because to me now and the next halving is where all the money's made. This is where all the money's made. It's right now. So you can either you can continue waiting, and hope you catch the bottom. Chances are you might miss it, which is why I just went ahead and started averaging in a while ago. And, you know, as the price continues to go lower, I'll continue averaging in my position until I get to my goal. But I don't really know if there's any crypto project out there or cryptocurrency out there that I am as boldly confident in what's to come as Cardano, plain and simple. And there's a lot of stuff out there that I think is going to do really well. And there are a lot of projects out there that I think are going to do really, really well. But it's not just about, will this project go from A to Z in what time frame, but it's also long term. From a YouTuber's perspective, I don't want to push people into projects that maybe they do really well for this cycle, right? And the price goes up and up and up. And technically, you know, if you were to sell at that height, you're going to make a whole bunch of money. But what happens to all of the projects that do go up and up and up, and everybody that gets in and they're thinking, I'm going to hold this for 10 years. And then the peak hits, they don't sell, and they watch their wealth just vanish before their eyes, and the price never gets back to that all-time high again. That's what concerns me as a YouTuber nowadays, because I've seen this happen so many times to so many projects, which is honestly one of the reasons why I focus most on layer 1 stuff, because it's a lot of this layer 2 applications, all of that. Some of this stuff is fad based. You know, some of these terms and these efforts that are being put out, that, you know, it's a fad. You know, companies are like, oh, what hasn't been done yet that's going to make us a bunch of money? Let's write a white paper and start building out this gimmicky whatever. And it doesn't stand the test of time because it doesn't mean that much, because we're not at a point where mass adoption is in play and none of these applications are going to get enough use to carry them through a bear market. And then by that time, they've already been forgotten about, because it's like that brand new pair of shoes has already been worn for 3 years. It's time to get a new pair of shoes. So, you know, and it's like the pair of shoes might not be good anymore, but the original brand or that layer 1 that it might be built on is always good. So it's like, I kind of consider, like, you know, Cardano is Nike, you know, or whatever brand name of shoe, and you're just changing your shoes out all the time. Still Nike, still a Cardano based project, still, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at on my head, and maybe that changes in time. You know, there are metaverse projects, obviously, like Cornucopias, that I really like. I think Quant looks really, really good. I'm still kind of doing some digging as I'm working, because I want to do like a top 5 to 5 million, top 10 to a million kind of videos coming up, but I want them to be really, really good and informative. I want to really be able to, I want to be confident about what I'm talking about, and what I think it's going to do for people, because I tell you what, I'll get into it in another video. I still get some emails and messages from people that have been watching my channel for a really long time, and how their lives have changed just watching this channel. And it gets me emotional every single time. I was just telling my wife about one last night, and like, you know what? I'll just tell you, screw it. Since I'm already kind of whatever, but there are a couple of gentlemen that drove all the way to Decentral Miami. I don't know if it was just to meet me. I doubt that, but that it was definitely on their agenda to like meet me. I guess they wanted to take me to dinner, and they drove all the way from Cincinnati, or they flew from Cincinnati to Miami. And I just happened across them, and they're like, "Hey, Crow," and you know, and we just started, you know, chatting a little bit, and I realized these were cool guys, you know, and so we just sat down, and I think we hung out and we talked for about an hour. And I was waiting for my wife to get back, because she was doing salsa classes or something, some kind of salsa, I don't know, private lesson or whatever, while we were in Miami. And we were talking about everything under the sun, and it was a great time. It was a great talk. And the one gentleman didn't bring any of this stuff up until later, like through a message. And he basically, he started telling me, you know what? I'm sure I still have it. Did he message me? He texted it to me. I'll read you the message. I hope he doesn't care. Nobody knows who he is. I got to find it. I know I still have it. And I showed my, here it is. Okay, so he sent me a message and I'm like, it's all good or whatever. And he said, sorry, I know this is all jumbly, but it's the end of the video. You're probably not here now anyway. He said, because of you, I can pay for speech therapy for my 7-year-old son. He has Down syndrome and unfortunately also has a speech disorder called apraxia. His speech therapy is very costly. I can pay for therapy and even double or triple therapy for him now because of you helping me learn about crypto. Because of this, it meant so much to me that you took the time to sit down and hang out. And then he sent me pictures of his son, who's adorable. And I'm reading this because, this is why I'm here in a bear market. And this is why I was very active in the last bear market when there were no views, nobody was really paying attention except for the people that were, right? It wasn't the fair weather fans who were into crypto to try and make a quick buck. They were just, reading the headlines about how everything's going up and they decided to jump in at the last minute. Everybody here right now watching this very video, especially now, into what is it, 26 minutes? Like, it's only the hardcore people that really want to know, that are really paying attention, or actually have a genuine interest in me as a man, as a person, not just what I'm spitting out to you to make your lives easier to run out and make a bunch of decisions without having to think about it. Those of you that are still here watching these videos, and I have a watch time beyond like 5 or 6 minutes in a 30-minute video. You guys are the ones that I'm here for, and I get these messages. Man, I got slammed with a whole bunch of messages similar. And he's like, one of the first things he says, you got to be tired of these by now. And I'm like, no, I don't. Because, contrary to what a lot of people think out there, there's a lot of pressure on us. There's a lot of pressure on us who we really, really do try to do the best that we can to help educate, to try and help people understand what we think's happening. And, sometimes we can be, we get burnt out. We struggle. We have our own problems. We have our own lives. You know what I mean? We're human beings. And it's nice to be acknowledged sometimes, and especially at times when every minute you're putting into this, it's not for me. Like, this isn't for me. I'm not doing this video today. I'm not doing it really for me. I'm getting nothing. I'm not paid anybody. I'm not paid by anybody. There's no paid segment. There's no nothing. And typically we don't earn anything. We don't make anything for at least a couple years in a bear market because there's no money to be made. There's nobody doing paid segments. There's no real advertisements. Views are down. Subscribers down. Everything kind of takes a dump in a bear market. And the ones of us who are still out here really trying to put content out, I'm not saying all of them are righteous in their efforts. I mean, there's an algorithm to feed, but they're and some people are making money anyway. You know what I mean? It just depends on what they're doing. If they're selling memberships to something, or, who knows? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess my point is, there are a lot of us out here, even people you might not like, even people that you think are scammers, even people that you may have some kind of impression of, but I'm willing to bet you that a lot more of those people than not are really here trying to make an impact for the positive, for the benefit of everyone. And, some of us are cockier than others. Some of us aren't, you say what you want. But I think as we continue to move forward with all of the complications associated with the changes happening in the world today, I think ultimately, I'd like to think that the majority of us are pulling together, working together, sharing the message, sharing the education, sharing our experiences so that we can all learn together, grow together, and basically, hopefully, my hope, to overpower some of the crap that's coming down the pipe. And when I get videos or I get messages like that, they do affect me. I don't get tired of them. They mean a lot to me. And they mean a lot to my wife, because if you watched our interview, Where I talked about, for like 2 years, my wife went to bed alone. I mean, for 2 years, I was grinding. And it did play a role in our marriage and our relationship, and it didn't keep things easy. It wasn't easy. We talk a lot about that stuff in that interview, and we're going to be doing another one. We're answering a lot of the questions on Twitter. But a lot of you guys don't realize the sacrifices many of us make to get you the information we get you, to put in the work, to really understand what's going on as best we can and relay our opinion. Whether they're right or wrong, we do work really hard to be able to provide you with something you may not otherwise get. And so, yeah, I appreciate that message a lot. I appreciate all the messages that I've received over the years. You guys are truly the reason I put so much time into this, especially at a time when it's not paying any bills. It's not really helping me do much of anything other than perpetuate the idea that I'm educating people for the next bull cycle, because now is the time to prepare for what's coming. And if I'm to answer that question from a comment, what can I do to prepare? Continue to educate yourself, average in as you are comfortable. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose so that you're not forced to make any drastic decisions, but keep pushing forward, better understanding what's happening in the world today, and don't let anybody try to push or pull you in any given direction and all of the tribalism that's going on. It's all just another form of control. Think for yourself, do what you believe is right, and time will tell. Until next time, crow your coins. I'll see you soon.